What a great day to be alive. This is an age of music and motion and money. It's an age of fads and fashions and fanatics. You really have to be on the in and get with it, or else you aren't going anywhere. So they say. But believe me, this is a sharp, keen, alert, educated age. If you sit still, you're apt to be run over and killed in the rush. You either go or you're a goner. But let's face it, there are a couple of good check valves that will keep us in tune. We call them parents. Oh, I know. We have other names like the Gruesome Twosome and the Duo from Weirdsville. But it's no shocking news to you to learn that parents are here to stay. And really, they are the only two who love us in spite of all they know about us. You are in the jet set, the status age, and many other names we've tacked on you. So now you're old enough to level with me on the hang-ups that you have with your parents. Aim now. Give me both barrels. They're too old-fashioned, you say. They don't understand. They're out of touch. We're tired of hearing the good old days when Dad walked to school 10 miles, barefoot, in the snow, carrying books, getting straight A's, and holding on a full-time job. We're also tired of the old line, based on my experience. And yes, one more. They're too suspicious. They always think the worst. They won't trust us. Well, I believe these blasts merit attention. Old-fashioned, huh? Well, that's understandable and normal. Perhaps some parents might vegetate and fall behind the times, but just sit back and thank God for some of the old-fashioned things they learned so that you might have the good things you have. Your parents may have forgotten what it's like to be a teenager, I know, or they just plain don't want to remember those painful years of growing up. But you may be able to get them to recall some of the better moments. Ask them about the good times they had, about their best friends, about the things they like to do. There must be some good things they can tell you, and as they do, they may be able to remember how it felt to be a teenager. What things were important to them and what things gave them pleasure maybe have helped you, or what they did not like, or what they really did like, what they worried about, and what they were afraid of. They may find it a little easier to understand you, and you may find clues to why they expect certain things of you. Next, you don't understand. Well, really translated, that means you don't agree with me. Your parents love you and want the best for you. They have the benefit of many mistakes they either made or observed, so they want to steer you clear of them. How about trying to explain to your parents how things are today? So when one of them criticizes the things you do and the way things are done today, instead of just moaning with a, "You don't understand. You just don't understand anything," why don't you explain how the thing in question looks to you and your generation? You see, today's parents are caught in a real situation. Not wanting to be considered square or behind the times, they often give their teenager more freedom than he should have, or at the other extreme, fearful of the many dangers in our modern society, they may be severely strict in their own way. And now for that good old days routine. Well, in many cases, times were much tougher and rougher when your dad and mom were young. They've made things pretty nice for you because they worked hard, with a lot of pain and some tears. Really, though, they're glad you don't have to duplicate their experiences. So the next time they talk about having mush for breakfast and dinner and supper, don't get that sick look in your eyes. Tell you what to do. Ditch your dignity for a moment and give good old Dad and Mom a pat on the back. It really works. Based on my experience, sure, your parents may seem out of date, but their experience can be of tremendous assistance to you. Thinking people place a premium on experience. Sir Isaac Newton said that if he saw farther than any other man, it would be because he stood on the shoulders of scientific men who paved the way before him. It's much the same in our personal lives. Well, let's not forget that last one. You're too suspicious. Yes, I'm sure this is part of every parent's human machinery. But here's a deep, deep secret. Always tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to your parents, and they will trust you. Give it a fair try. Sure, I know parents are sometimes suspicious and untrusting, but perhaps they have reasons. They have painful memories of their own goofs during their headstrong teen days. They remember your shenanigans from last week or last month, and they just know that when you tell them with angelic innocence and those baby blue eyes that all the rest of the gang are allowed to do it, it just isn't so. These teen years are doing and going years. So here are a few principles that teenagers have found effective in bridging the generation gap. First of all, start by trying to understand what your parents really mean. Your folks read a lot about teenagers getting into trouble, so they're concerned about where you'll be and how these places will influence you. Then your parents aren't really as interested in your heartbeat's curly hair or your girlfriend's terrific wardrobe quite as much as they're concerned about his or her reputation. Then remember that your parents have a life of their own. When your big night is coming up, give them advance notice so they can fit their schedule to yours. Don't make last-minute demands on their time. Your parents also expect consideration. Just don't take time for granted. Then once you've mastered the principles of what they're really thinking, initiate certain attitudes that will go a long way. Be polite. Don't give your parents the old brush off. Be ambitious. You know, get up and go is often the key that unlocks your dad's heart, and his pocketbook too. Avoid herd instincts. Don't be afraid of being different. Don't make demands of your parents. Be honest, because a phony will soon be found out. And your folks aren't going to send you to Siberia or get your neck under the guillotine if you tell them the truth. They love you too much. Don't hide your feelings and don't sulk behind closed doors when there's something you want to get off your chest. Be careful about careless casualness, too. It's too often true that a teenager is guilty of the philosophy and attitude of so what? So what? Then try courteous words instead of sharp answers. Give smiles to members of the family instead of blank looks. Show enthusiasm around the house instead of dullness. Let there be personal response to others and not indifference. Give attention to others instead of showing neglect. Let there be sincerity and not sham in your home life. Try to be considerate instead of annoying. Give facts instead of arguments. Try some creative ideas around the house instead of the humdrum. Try to be helpful and not a hindrance. Think of what you can give rather than what you might get. Show action rather than delay, and don't be afraid to show appreciation instead of apathy. And then there's the matter of spiritual leadership. Be a part of the family worship. Show appreciation by expression. Show respect by obedience as the Scripture commands. And by all means, speak well of your parents in public. If you feel they don't deserve it, then say nothing. Never run them down. Be active in your church. Be careful of being caught in the web of the complacent crowd who become a clique of do-nothings just because they are afraid to be different. In every possible way in your home, let the beauty of Christ be seen in your every action. You can prove this, by doing more than your part in making the affairs of the home go well. Finally, underscore God's command. Honor thy father and thy mother. There's no limit to this, It's a lifetime proposition. Honor means respect. Thinking young people respect their parents who want to know and love them dearly. They understand parents are experienced. They try to be objective and frank and trust for the more mature behavior. These young people also understand that parents can make error in judgment and can make an unwise decision. But because they are your parents, these young people should respect and love them, all the more for their honesty. As a member of the family, though you have a responsibility to keep your parents clued in on activities and whereabouts, always remember that nothing duplicates honesty. Always let your folks know where you are and what you're doing. This is customary. Since you are a part of the family, you have a duty to make your home a place of understanding, and happiness. I want to take my hat off to the generation today who dare to honor their parents, who dare to bow their heads in prayer to a loving God, read the Bible, and pledge allegiance to the flag. I want to take my hat off to a crowd who keep their eyes and ears open trying to be above average teenagers. The overwhelming majority of our teenagers are decent, hard-working, law-abiding citizens. They are brighter than we were a generation ago. They are more assertive, more articulate, better educated, and more staunchly committed. I'm in your corner, teen friend, and you can mark that down and underline it in red, white, and blue. Take this final tip from me. Trust in the Lord with all of thine heart. Lean not to thine own understandings. In all of thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. It's a great way to start, a great way to keep going. You can be a leader in making Christ the head of your home, the unseen guest at every meal, and the silent listener to every conversation. You are important to your parents, and your parents are important to you. If there's a problem, take the initiative and establish peace on the home front. Angle players, corner cutters, sharp shooters, and goof-offs are misfits in the family circle. Be a teen of distinction. Be a teen who stands foursquare for the right. You might be called strictly from Squaresville, but you can look society straight in the eye as citizens of the home who keep their parents happy and healthy for a long, long time.